Are they waterproof?
Welcome to... Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of EUGE, an inside look at chasing a dream. I'm Eugene Kenny, and the dream that we take a look at is the dream of becoming a stand-up comic. Today we're talking to another stand-up comic, a very good, funny guy I met. All right, Corey, pronounce your last name?
Quattlebaum.
Quattlebaum. All right, Corey Quattlebaum. I love that name.
It's German,
now,
I'm told.
When we first met, you think it might be.
That's what I'm told. I don't have all the answers.
When we first met, you were going by Bear as your professional
Oh, you know what happened?
Okay, yeah. I want to hear that.
I prefer to be brought on as Bear, but Facebook made me change it. They told me it would not let me log back into Facebook until I corrected my name.
What do you mean?
Because I had it just as Bear Quattlebaum on Facebook.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
Because it was my nickname since I was like a kid, since I was like 6 years old.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's what I had on Facebook forever. And then about 3 months ago, give or take, I went to log in one day on my phone. It's all, oh, your name's not accurate. You have to correct your name if you want to log back in. You have to read our terms and conditions and accept blah, blah, blah.
Because it was a nickname.
Yep.
Okay. Just a little advice. I tell you to go back in and try that again, because Facebook got into a big beef with drag queens.
Yeah, and the burlesque industry, and yeah.
And so maybe they'll let you have it back.
I can look into it. I did wind up starting a fan page as a result.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the same. I have like 1,000 Facebook friends. I have like 100 fans on my page.
Yeah, I don't even know how to get fans. You know, how to get fans. I'm the same way. I've got lots of people on my page, but I don't know.
You know what I did start doing? I made a legitimate effort is if I can get in front of a crowd, like if there's more than 5 people in that room that I can tell jokes to, one of them is going to want to talk to me after the show. Right. And I'll route them, like I will go straight to my Facebook, and I'll like go to the search bar and I'll be like, find yourself. And like, you know, it may only be 2-3 people in a night, but like if you can get out 2 times a week, man, it's like...
But it adds up, up.
Yeah. Oh, it's so neat. I've been doing the Future Legends show at the Improv. They have it every month. It's
Improv,
a bringer
Denver,
show.
Colorado.
Yeah, on Northfield.
Yeah.
It's a bringer show. You have to have 10 people show up or you don't get to do time.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, oh, that sucks. I can't get 10 people, blah, blah, blah. The guy that runs it, his name is John Richard DeSalis. And he told me, he goes, it's a bringer show. You got a problem with that? I was like, no. And he goes, good, because my stance is if you can't get 10 people to come see you for free, you don't belong on my stage. And I took that to heart. I was like, hell yeah, I can get 10 people to come see me. Right. And like the first time I got 12 people to show up. And then like the second time I got 14 people to show up. And then I got like 17 people to show up. And then it was like 13 people again. Okay. But I got to do it this Wednesday, like 2 days from now will be my 5th month. 4th in a row. I did one, took a month off, and then boom, 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 boom. And I've nailed it out of the park every time I've been there. And then at the end of last month, he let me feature.
Which is more time.
Yeah. I got to feature. I don't remember who headlined. He was kind of mean to me, so I kind of disregarded it. But I did. I knocked it out of the park, and I went back during the headliner, and I was like, hey, man, you want to just go ahead and set this up for next month? Because I know there's going to be one every month. And he goes, you really want to do it again? I was like, dude, I love this show. I can get the people here. Let me enjoy this room. And he goes, how about next month you host it? And I was like, done. Right. To the best of my knowledge, I've still got at least 10 people coming.
Wow, that's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, the bringer shows, you got to have, as a business, you got to have people coming in the doors. You know, I mean, you can't keep your doors open just because people like to do jokes on your stage, I guess. Yeah. So,
like, it's one thing if it was a regular open mic, but that's like a functioning comedy club. It has to survive as a business.
Yeah, it is definitely a functioning comedy club. How do you like the room there?
Oh, it is, pardon me, it is hands down my favorite room I've ever performed in, period. Really? I love it. So right after that last bringer show, I went the next night to catch Aries Spears. Yeah. He was doing the whole weekend. And I'm really good friends with the girl that works the box office there, so she can slip me in if it's not full. Gotcha. And I went in, and I happened to be there, and apparently Aries Spears has this thing where he doesn't like having other black comics on the bill. Okay. Stephen AJ was supposed to host the whole weekend. And then now he can't do that anymore. I happened to just be hanging out in the back. I was talking to Elliot Woolsey because he was the feature, or Woolsey, sorry. Right. I was just hanging out with Elliot, and we were talking shop. And then John DeSalis is like, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? Can you be here at 7:30? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, man, you're hosting. And I was like, yes. So I got to host for Aries Spears, and that was cool. And I thanked him endlessly for the opportunity. Like, rightfully, it should have been Stephen AJ's in like a fair world or whatever.
If you don't want black people on your show, I mean, they don't come any blacker than Stephen AJ.
It's true. Right.
If you know Stephen AJ, you know I'm not lying about that.
It's true.
But what do you think of that? I mean, do you?
I think it's racist. Okay, so wait, I can tell more about this Aries Spears weekend.
Go ahead.
Is the first time I've ever heard someone ask someone to not give 100% on stage. Aries Spears did not want to be outshined. He made Elliot Woosley like tone it down to like 70% for the whole weekend.
Really?
Yep. I did my set, and I have this joke about the similarities between eating pussy and eating cupcakes. And I told it, and it crushed, and like I closed with a different joke, and I got off stage, and as soon as I brought Elliot up and I got off stage, Aries pulls me aside. He goes, hey man, on the 10:30 show, I don't want you to do that pussy eating joke. And I was like, oh, my bad, man. Like, I didn't think I offended anyone. He goes, no, man, it's just I have a pussy eating bit, and I don't want people to think I'm riding off of your joke. I was like, are you serious? Like, if I ever get to the point where I'm a touring comedian,
right,
and like there's going to be newcomers, like that club brought all of the feature and the opener, like the club picked those people, not Aries Spears. I would never tell one of those opening comics to tone it down. Like, that is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard of in my life. And I guess it happens a lot.
Well, it has happened in the business in certain clubs. I've done, especially the first part. I have worked with plenty of black comics that don't want any black comics on the show in front of them. Plenty
Why
of black
is that?
I guess from a standpoint of a insecure headliner, there are only so many black jokes to be done. I want to do them all.
I guess I can see
what I mean?
that. I've never thought,
like,
because
hey,
I don't have a lot of like white jokes.
If
so
I come out,
really
I have a bit in my, I have a thing where I come out and I go, hey, how y'all doing? Let me have a look around, see what kind of a crowd we got happening here. And I go, white, and it gets a huge laugh.
Yeah.
But if I'm the MC and I'm opening with that, now, I got a great laugh. But if I'm the headliner and there are no black people in front of me, I can do that same joke.
Yeah.
An hour into the show.
That's wild. I wouldn't have never thought of that.
But I can understand that thinking. I would never tell anybody to back down because, especially here in Denver.
Yeah,
because
there's too many good comics in this city
there's so
to
many
ask
clubs.
anyone to not,
God, I don't even know how to turn it down. You know what I mean?
I didn't. I went out and I went full throttle both shows.
Right.
The second show I did not tell the cupcake joke.
Right.
I completely did I basically had like one similar joke from the first to the second show, and the other like 6.5 minutes were completely different.
Okay.
And it's still just as good hit, just boom, boom, boom. And then like Elliot was able to feed off of that room already being hot, and he gave I know he probably got like scolded or a finger wag or something, because like the second show Saturday night, Elliot came out swinging. Like I don't think he cared if he got in trouble or anything anymore. That's
crazy. One of the things that I immediately noticed is, you're what, 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah.
Elliot 6'4", 6'5"?
Yep, we're both
Aries
6'5".
is 5 what?
Yeah, he's a small guy. And he didn't even mention that. That would have been like the first thing I'd have brought up.
Wow. That's wild.
Because me and Elliot have to be two of the biggest comics in Denver.
Oh, yeah.
Just physically space taken up.
When I first met you and you first came onto the Denver scene and other people were talking about Bear, I got it. You've always been Bear. You've probably always been the biggest person that anybody knows in their life. I've always been the big black guy, so I know.
Yeah, it's a
I
similar.
know from which that came. But I wondered if the reason that you stopped using Bear was because we had a local Bear here.
Nope. Oh, when I first started, I caught a lot of shit for that. Everyone's like, you can't be called Bear because Chuck Roy has jokes about being a bear.
Now, you didn't get any flack from Chuck Roy, right?
No, what I did, I got a lot of flack from other comics, and I emailed Chuck Roy. I was like, I don't even know what to do about this anymore. Like, these people are not going to stop. And I messaged him, and I was like, hey, man, I'm starting out in Denver comedy. Like, I promise I'm not a threat to you or your career. Bear's been my name for as long as I can remember having a name. And these people are telling me that I can't be that because you have jokes about being a bear, and I just want to know what your stance is. And he goes, the next person to give you shit, tell them to call me, go forth and be funny. Like, that was basically his blessing about it.
Exactly. Like,
and I was
you
like,
can't be Eugene because I'm Eugene. What's that? That's crazy.
Yeah. And that, like, I tried to explain that to people. I'm like, so you're telling me there's only one Kevin in this town that does comedy?
Right. And I think the Kevin that does comedy is named Kevin O'Brien.
Yeah, there's 2 Kevin O'Briens, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what's your journey into the comedy business? I mean, how long, first of all, how long have you been doing stand-up?
This coming February will be my 2-year mark.
Okay. And what got you started?
I've always been a smartass. I've always been like I've always been the one to be telling a story next to the keg at the house party type scenario.
Okay.
My friend Darius Alexander, I went to high school with him.
Gotcha.
He's a Denver comic, or he was at one point. I don't know if he still practices or if he's all career driven at this point. I should really hit him up. I'm bad about that. But he was doing an open mic that was run by Gary Washington, and if he got enough people to come show him some love, he could win $100.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, all right, cool, man. I'll come watch you do comedy. Like 2 days later, I go and watch him do comedy, and I was like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, all right, he's funny. I'm funnier than that guy. I'm funnier than that guy. I got to try this. And the next week, I went up with like roughly 5 minutes worth of ideas, and I got laughs. Like, I didn't crush the whole set. Like, a lot of it was just like I felt like I was going to die for a second, but I got enough laughs that I had to do it again.
What was the name of the room?
It was called Carte Blanche. It was at Parker and Quincy. Okay. It only lasted for a couple months.
Small room in here in Colorado?
Yeah, okay. Out in South Aurora.
Okay.
So it was on the south end. And it was really close to my house, which was nice. So I went to it, and it lasted for about 4 more weeks. And I went to it for like the second week, and I just completely bombed. It was like a semi-truck backed up and unloaded a bag of dicks for me to eat.
The sophomore jinx.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
But I remembered the laugh from the first time, and I knew I had to try again. Yeah. On the third week, it was me and 2 other comics. And I got a couple more laughs than I got the first week, and I was like, I have to keep doing this. Gary Washington's like, hey, man, you should come try another mic. Like, I think you'd be better with a room that actually cared.
Okay.
And I wound up going to the 404. Ed Giovanni had just restarted it, I guess. It was a mic that existed before my time.
Down on Broadway.
Yeah. And I went in there, and that was a Thursday mic, and I did that mic every Thursday for like months. I loved it. Like, it felt like home almost. It was wild. And then, yeah, I never looked back. Like, I started learning about more mics and more mics and more mics, and I just, yeah.
So what's that like, the first steps into the unknown mic?
In the very beginning, it was weird because no one would talk to me. Like, I felt like there's all these awesome people I could be friends with, and none of them would give me the time of day.
Okay.
And I get why now that I've been doing it for a while, because there's so many people that come and go.
Right.
Like you can't make friends with every person that ever shows up at an open mic, because only a third of them are going to be around in 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
But there's going to be 75 new people trying it out for that next 3 months. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. In Vietnam, they just was like, we don't want to know the new guy because you're going to die in a week anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the comedy business. It's exactly
rough for beginners, like, man.
Yeah.
As a result, I try and, like, if I see someone for the first time at an open mic and I think they're funny, but you can tell they're like frazzled, I'll try and encourage them. Right. I'll be like, dude, that's a great bit. It's got an awesome premise. Just keep working it out. Don't give up. You got to keep, like, if you can get past getting behind a microphone and talking to an audience, that's like 80% of it, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people get up there and be like, and then just walk off.
I tell all comics, people that the number one question I get from any comics or people in the business, or not people in business, people wanting to get in the business, is, how do I start? How do I get in the comedy business? And I tell them, dude, you got to get up on the mic, you got to get on stage, you got to talk into it, because until you get comfortable on stage, you're not going to be funny like you want to be.
Yeah.
You might have your first killer set, a couple of good sets, but until you get on stage and mic, technique, stage technique, things like that.
That level of comfortability changes.
It does
everything,
and you can feel it happen too.
Yep.
Right.
Like one day, like you don't know how to describe it. You can't put a number on it as to when or how it happens. Like just one night you'll be on stage and then something will just kind of click.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even really notice it until after the fact, but everything was just different that time. It was smoother, it transitioned better. Like, it was just like, it's like you were driving around at half throttle all day, and then something got loose and you could floor it.
It's like, wow, look at that.
And you're like, whoa, this is what it's like?
Right.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So how long, let's say, the new comic comes into Denver and they walk into the room and nobody's talking to them, you know, because nobody wants to talk to you until you're funny. How long did that take for someone to give you some feedback? For someone to say, okay.
You know, fortunately, the people that ran the mics were always good about feedback, if nothing else.
Right, okay.
Like, Gary Washington would totally sit aside and, like, smoke a cigarette and drink a beer and talk to me for, like, 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And I could ask him all these questions I could come up with. And then the first couple times I did the 404, Ed Giovanni, you know, he's hit and miss. Sometimes he'll pay attention, sometimes he doesn't care. But Terry Barton Gregg was also there, and she was instantly just like, oh, you want feedback? Here you go. And then, like, there's like a weird generation of, like, super veteran comics. They were completely fine with me. They're like, oh yeah, no, I'll answer that. I'll answer that. I'll answer that. But, like, everyone from the bottom to the middle, like, that crust was so weird to break. It was almost like 2 months, 3 months.
That you're exactly right, because everybody from the middle down sees you as a challenge. Sees you as a, you know, hey, here come. I don't want you to know what I know, because I might, you know, you might be competition. You know. But.
And I guess it was really cutthroat like that, like, a couple years back.
Oh, it's still that way. I mean, comedy. I mean, it has always been, because this is a business of narcissists.
Yeah.
This is the business of look at me people.
Oh yeah. This is all about instant gratification and love me, love me, love me.
You know. And
no, entirely. We're all really damaged people.
It's hard not to go, hey, you know what? Every laugh you get is a laugh I'm not getting.
I've never looked at it that way.
Dude,
I figured out early on, like, the first couple shows I got, you know, you get that 5-minute slot up front, 3 to 5, depending on whose room it is. And once I got to where someone would give me 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, like, you give me 5 minutes, I can warm up any room on the planet.
Okay, I got you.
And then other comics started to notice that, and it caused a wave of 2 directions. Like, there's a list of people that love going on after me because I've already warmed that room up, and they can just take it from there. And then B, there's a segment of comics that, like, just hate to follow me because I'm a hard act to follow sometimes. Like, so, like, that's kind of like both a compliment to the ego, and then I'm like, oh, but that's just that many less rooms I can get because these people are already paranoid. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, you get to a point where you have outgrown the room.
Yeah.
And people reach it at different points in their career. I mean, people at some points, you're really not doing yourself any good, you know, to keep doing these mics that really people don't want you on because they don't want to follow you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a good thing, but that, like you said, that's a bad thing. What kind of backup system? I know you got family. When I hit you up for coming to do the show, you told me you had to check and get a babysitter.
Oh yeah. Ooh, here's a lady getter. No, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was a courier for a living.
Okay.
Drove legal documents from one courthouse to a law firm to another law firm, back to a courthouse, like that kind of stuff. And I was good at it. So we got to where I got in with this small independent specialty courier company that only dealt with like 4 high-end law firms, like Holland and Hart, Faegre Benson, like big law firms downtown. And I got to where I knew all the back roads and everything. Like I said, I clocked over 1 million miles with the IRS before I was 27 years old.
Wow.
Like my accountant pointed out, he's all, you realize you filed over 1 million miles with the IRS now for tax write-off? I was like, that's pretty awesome. I get like a trophy or something. And he looks at me and goes, are you retarded? Fair enough. But I did it. Like, I've driven over 1 million miles in my life, so I can get anywhere. But hauling ass everywhere, I got to where I could get shit faster than most people could get it, so people would pay extra to have me get it there faster.
Gotcha. Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. So I was basically like, I could make as much money as I could make.
Right.
I had like 4 years where I did over $80,000, like back to back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And that's after expenses.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah. And then right after 9/11, courthouses went electronic file.
Oh
and
my
it was
God.
like, my whole life came crashing down. And I went back to what I knew how to do from a kid, and I delivered pizza.
Right.
And like, I'm good enough a driver that I can deliver pizza full time and make, you know, enough money to survive.
Right.
I realized that I wasn't making the money I used to make though, and I was going to lose my house.
I got you.
So I pulled my mom out of North Aurora, and I planted her in my basement, and I said, the house is yours. I'm going to go to school and pursue comedy. Have fun.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's like, I got a sister that lives Cap Hill area. And then that's my support team, basically.
And so your mom lives downstairs?
Yeah. I have my kids 3 nights a week, and then their mom lives like 5 miles away from me in a different part of Aurora.
Gotcha. All right. How many kids?
2 girls, 9 and 11.
So they haven't seen the show yet?
No.
Very cool. What's that like, man? What is that, you know, having young kids, trying to start this business? I mean, it can't be easy.
The big, like, because I don't want to sound like a bad person when I say this, but the benefit to being a divorced father, like, I take my kids to and from school every day, like 5 days a week. I see my kids every day of the week but Saturday, basically.
Gotcha.
But I'm only responsible for them after like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Gotcha. I'm getting
so,
the text to see.
No, you're fine. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I can pursue as much comedy as I can cram into those days with no guilt.
It says we can't hear anything.
Aw.
It's okay. I know we're recording it. I can see it on there. So
fair enough.
I'll take care of it on the delay.
It's nice. But yeah, so that's my support team basically.
Well, right on. I mean, this is a business that is definitely rough on families.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my son now is 18. Well, 17, almost 18. But I was on the road for most of his life.
Okay.
So it's, you know, you have the relationship that you get when you're on the road.
No, yeah, I can see that.
You know.
I think I'm going to hold out a year or two. Like, I'm going to keep cutting my chops here. And, like, I'm all for taking a road trip out of state. Like, I've told jokes in Rapid City, South Dakota, and that was a blast. I told jokes in Durango. That's still in state, but, you know, it's like a 6-hour drive.
Oh, yeah,
I had fun with that.
Yeah. Durango's a nice room. Did you do the, was it Atlas Theater up there?
No, I was at the Animus.
Animus. Okay.
Kevin Fox booked it.
Okay.
Like, I guess he grew up down there. Like, that's where his family's from.
All right.
And it was me, Kevin Fox, and Zach Moss in about an 80-seat theater. And it was 75 people, and it was 80 seats. Like, it was fun.
Nice. All right. So, you're going to stick around for a couple of years here, you think?
Yeah, until my kids get a little older. I figure my kids are going to hit that point in puberty where they're like, Dad, I don't care. I'll be like, all right, I love you. And then I'm going to tour. But like right now, my kids still like me, so I'm going to hang out for a while.
Enjoy it while they like you. That's a good idea.
Worst case scenario, my youngest is 10 years away from graduating, and as soon as she goes off to college, I'm hitting the road full time. I'm just going to tour. I love the thought of it.
And, okay, you do your own podcast, too.
I do.
And that podcast is?
It's called Use Your Words. It is, Use Your Words.
Use Your Words, okay.
It's a brilliant name, you have to admit. We record that every Tuesday night from 9 to 11, and you can listen to it live action on One Blunt Radio, or I can get you a link to go back and listen to back issues.
Right on. All right, cool. And we'll put it up with the on the YouTube when we put this up.
Okay, cool.
A point like there, but you're actually there. I'm looking at the monitor. So
I have no clue what you're doing, man.
that is no problem. That's no problem. So, man, it's snowing out there.
No, I think it stopped snowing.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Is it getting better? All right. Any advice for young comics that, you know, coming in? Denver's getting to be pretty popular. Denver's becoming, you know, people are moving here to do stand-up.
Yeah. I know a couple of comics that have moved. Like, have you had Anthony Crawford on?
Anthony?
I would talk to him at least. He's got a fascinating story.
Does he?
He spent 7 years grinding in South Carolina before he came out here.
Right.
He was actually just going to stop through here on his way to L.A. and never quite made it to L.A.
Now, I wonder what that's going to be like. I mean, as far as like comics with credit, you know, moving here to do what, open mics?
I mean, he gets a lot of showcase work here too. I guess what it is, Denver, like with like Ben Roy, Adam K, any of the Growlix guys, Denver's now a city that you can break from. You don't have to go to New York anymore. You don't have to go to LA. Like, you can break from Denver.
Right.
And a lot of comics from other markets, like, oh, Denver's an option to LA or New York now? Like, that's an ideal option. A, like, weed's legal. That's a thing for at least half the comic community.
Right.
And B, it's not like, granted, it's not as cheap as it used to be, but it's still not as expensive as, like, living in Los Angeles.
Right.
It's nowhere near as expensive as living in New York. Like, it's a viable option. And I think a lot of people are upset about it. They're like, oh, now I have to compete with all these other comics and blah, blah, blah. But the way I look at it, every good comic in Denver thrives the Denver scene. Every good comic in Denver just like ups the stakes for everyone else to be a better comic.
Right.
Like, I know that there's a lot of like petty backstabby stuff that goes on and like people being shady against other people. Right. But I try and ignore all that just out of the beauty of what exists beyond that. Like, everything's got like a seedy underbelly.
Yeah.
But Denver comedy as a whole, I'd say like 90% of it or better is just so pure and amazing and pushing forward. At least as my experience shows it.
Yeah, I mean, I have, you know, been in the market here in Denver for a while, and I like it a lot. I mean, I've watched it grow. It was, I'll tell you this, I had an odd weekend. I did a show up in Boulder, and there was like 5 comics on the show, and 3 of the comics were, you know, like, I don't know, having bad nights, or you know, just it was just kind of, it was just like,
it happens.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
As far as, you know,
it's rough, man. Like, I'm sure the numbers are a little skewed, but for simple math, say there's 200 active comics in Denver at any given minute, and like 100 of them are worth getting booked.
Right.
And sometimes there's only enough rooms for 70 of them. And sometimes it overinflates and like 130 of them can get in.
Right.
And then, like, it's weird because you want to encourage everyone. Like, I think everyone should get their time. But when you get booked on a show that's got like 8 comics and 6 of them are like, it brings the room down so far. You know what I mean?
Well, I believe that, you know, you have to learn to do comedy in this business. And if you only book the guys that you know are going to kill the room, then, you know, there are rooms that are for that. I do a showcase, and I don't think, you know, my showcase is for that. I try to put up people that are just getting started.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see a lot of people.
I think your room is awesome because it's a friendly room. Like, you really have to be terrible to not get love in that room.
Yeah.
Like, because I've been there like once or twice just to witness it, and I've been there at least twice to perform. And every time, like, it's normally a really decent crowd. Like, it's a good sized crowd. I've never been there and it's empty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the room we're talking about is
Ari's Tavern. It's a good room. Look into it.
Yeah. Great burgers.
Is that every Friday or is that the first Friday of the month?
Friday.
Every other Friday?
Every other Friday.
Yeah, it's a good room. I like it. Yeah, it's really hard to suck there. And that's the kind of room that a young comic needs.
Yeah.
Like, you were one of the first people to put me on stage. Brett Crandall was really good about that in the beginning.
I just did Brett's room in
I haven't done his new
Collins.
one. I did his old one at
the Whiskey. It's really nice.
It's on Sundays though, right?
Yeah.
See, I normally get my kids on Sunday afternoon, so I have to like plan something for that. But the one that he used to have on Mondays in Old Town at the East Coast, I've done that one like 4 times. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, he runs a good room. He runs a good room. And all right, so that's the Colorado market. Where do you see yourself going with comedy here? Do you? Comedy
is a very integral hub with a lot of spokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like my podcast, as far as I can tell, it does good numbers. I know I love doing it.
Let's get back to your podcast. Tell me about your podcast. What is that theme?
My podcast, it's called Use Your Words. It's me and 2 other comics, Jeremy Benton and Isman Tucker, a.k.a. Mr. Puff.
I like him. I've never heard of him, but I like him.
Yeah, he's a fun guy.
Mr. Puff, like Colorado Puffin?
He used to have an afro.
Oh, Puff the Afro. Okay.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about now?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll have him message you on Facebook. Like, he's pretty good. He's fun. But the 3 of us, so me and Puff went to the same school. We went to the Colorado Media School, formerly the Ohio Center for Broadcasting.
Right, okay.
And that's where we met. And then I needed to have something for intern hours, so we started doing a show there on Sunday afternoons. Like, they had a sports talk station,
right?
And Sundays were open. So like, one guy had a comedy show, and then another guy had a comedy show, and I grabbed that last slot of the day. So it was like, if everyone showed up, it was 6 hours of comedy on this internet radio station, basically.
Gotcha.
But we were really restricted as to what we could talk about. Like, I was told, yeah, you're on the internet, you can treat it like a podcast, use that room. And then someone else with a higher pay grade came in and said, no, this room is for AM radio education purposes, blah, blah, blah. We all of a sudden had to treat it like an AM radio talk show with like all those FCC guidelines and everything.
Really?
That did not fly.
Were you actually on air, or were they just fake?
Well, we were over the internet. Like, you could tune in and listen to us over the internet.
But someone put the restriction on it that you had to treat it like an AM
And I was like, well, I don't want any part of this anymore. I met the guys that run One Blunt Radio. It's an internet radio thing, marijuana themed. It's been around for about 6 years.
Yes.
So the guy that runs it, Dr. Kush, there's a different comic that had a show on there for a couple of weeks, and I did a guest spot on his show.
Okay.
And me and Jeremy Benton were both there, and we were just tearing it up. And like, he said that the ratings on the show that we were on kept jumping because people were like, oh, you got to check this out, you got to check this out type stuff. About 45 minutes in, I look over and Dr. Kush is like doing something on the computer and playing with the mix or whatever. And I was like, so what's up? Do we get our own show? He's like, yeah, man, we'll talk off the air. And the next Tuesday night we started, and we just did our 40th episode, so it's been 40 weeks now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're actually on someone else's station?
Yeah, we're broadcast on
Blunt Radio?
One Blunt Radio.
Is that number one or one spelled?
The number one, BLUNT. The website is 1br.co.
1br.co. Okay.
Yep.
Right on. Check that out. Wow, very, very cool.
But yeah, those guys, like, so my podcast runs through those guys. They have like multiple shows over the course of the day. They have a show called The Midday Burn that happens from like 11 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. They have a couple of night shows, not counting mine. On Sundays, they have like a Pee Wee sports coach guy that comes in and talks to other Pee Wee sports coach guys. Like, no marijuana involved. It's just them talking.
Oh, okay. I was like, how do you do that with on the podcast?
No, it's just they just like, you know, they pull all the bongs out of the room for the morning, and people come in and they talk Pee Wee football for 2 hours, and then they go home and the bongs come back out.
I want to start a Pee Wee fantasy league.
I think a Pee Wee fantasy league, though, you could alter it so good, like, if you were ever going to rig a sport, it's Pee Wee football. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because one parent brings the snacks for everyone. Oh, Timmy's got diarrhea. He's not going to do very well on the... Yeah, he's going to be on the bench all day.
I think I'm going to bench Timmy this week. Fantasy league, huh?
Right? Oh, man.
That'd be very, very cool.
Pee Wee football. That would be fun to do.
Wow, Bear. All right, let's have a look at... You sent me a link to your set. This one was at the Voodoo, I think.
It was. It's almost a year old. I feel so lazy that I don't have a better set available.
That's all right, man. Let's see what we got going here.
Awesome guy. We're going to keep the show going, guys. Jeff got him, everybody. Hot! Next guy coming to the stage, one of my best friends in the world. He runs an open mic down at Alamo Draft House on Wednesday nights, I believe. Alamo Draft House.
Okay, I have to stop it right there. What the hell kind of introduction is that?
It's just Matt Wayman, man. I got nothing. I love Matt Wayman. At the time, I did have an open mic at the Alamo Draft House.
But how does that help you get a crowd interested in you getting here to tell some jokes?
I have no clue. It was a credit. It was something I had to my name, I guess. I don't know.
I looked at that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Matt Wayman being Matt Wayman.
Matt was on the show. Matt was one of the people on the show Friday last night at Boulder that wasn't having a bad night. We talked. Okay, that was the first time I ever met him.
Draft House. You can see a movie and get some laughs. Please give it up for Mr. Bear Quattlebaum.
How's it going, guys? So I can prove that I'm not loved in the way people with functioning relationships are loved, because no one has checked any of this yet. Like, no one's pulled me aside and said, dude, we need to talk about this. And I have a mirror, I know what this looks like, and I'm going to keep pushing it until someone's like, dude, what are you doing? You guys, I gotta get some shit off my chest. I know there's like the Merry Kwanzaa, Happy Christmas, whatever it is. When I was a kid, Christmas was the shit. As soon as December 1st rolled around, it was like a countdown. There was like a calendar with a chocolate in it every day. Now as an adult, Christmas pisses me the fuck off. Halloween Day, I go in to try and score some candy, hoping it'd already be on discount, and they're already setting up Christmas. Like, fuck Thanksgiving, we're going straight from fucking Halloween to Christmas. I have been hearing Christmas songs since about a week before Halloween.
So if this is a year old,
if
you're about
one
a year
more
in on
person
this?
offers me pumpkin anything, I'm gonna
Not
fucking
quite. I'm
snap.
about 9 months.
Pumpkin cheesecake on paper is awesome. It looks like or it's pumpkin pie. It looks like a cheesecake though. It's got like a cheesecake crust. I'm right with you until you taste it. And basically it's like diarrhea cheesecake. It's the color's right, the taste is right, and it doesn't matter how much fucking whipped cream you put on it, it's still not gonna taste good. And unless you're my kids, I don't give a fuck about your Christmas, and you're not getting a present. And I'm pretty sure my sister's here tonight, and that's a shitty way for her to learn about that. Alright, thanks. I had to get that out. You guys, I am a pizza distribution specialist. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's taught me about 3 things. 1, being a pizza boy is like being a gynecologist. You smell it the whole time you're on the clock, and you're not allowed to taste any of it. 2, it's kind of like being a stripper. I've been doing it for a long time, and the older I get, the sadder it is.
Killing, man.
I've seen enough adult film that I know eventually I'm gonna ring that magic doorbell.
It's weird to hear jokes that I've
She's gonna open the door, the mixture of high-grade marijuana and Axe body spray is gonna get her all excited. I'm gonna follow her in because that's how these movies start. And as soon as you break the threshold of the front door, I just hear this little voice go, dude, this isn't a delivery, it's a porno. I follow her in, and the bathrobe comes off, and I get excited, guys. I give her a tip, she gives me a tip, service is rendered. And then the coolest thing ever happened, guys, I got to taste it, and it's subpar. I don't like our sauce. As a pizza boy, and I look like this, especially this, I can't believe no one stopped this yet. I masturbate a lot, guys. Like 2, 4, 10 times a night. That much masturbation leads to a lot of porn. And aside from what I've learned about pizza and porn, I've learned one other thing from porn, and that's that women love to be ejaculated on. My favorite way to do that, when you first get hard, and you've got that little bit of pre-cum on the tip, you get it with your thumb, and you get it right in the forehead like, Simba.
That's disgusting.
It's a fun joke.
It's worse.
It's funny. Definitely
about masturbating and stuff. I have a tip for women of my age group. I'm in my mid to late 30s. And there's ladies that are still trying to give guys my age a hand job. And it's not going to happen. I'll tell you why. I've been masturbating since I was 13, so simple math says 23 years. They say it takes 10,000 hours to perfect the skill. I have perfected a skill. I know exactly what I need to do. I know exactly how to alter it for circumstantial needs. I can't teach anyone. I had a wife that I treated as a 7-year intern, I tried to show her, and it's not a passable skill, guys. So ladies, if you're in my age group and you want to give a better hand job, this is the trick, okay? Use your mouth.
That's good advice.
I smoke a lot of weed. And on Fridays you can buy $5 blunts.
Good advice.
And they're good sized blunts. And the only downfall I found to this is as soon as I leave the dispensary, I light one and I start smoking it and I get on the highway. And then I get off the highway and I normally find myself having to go somewhere, and I've made the mistake of going to a 7-Eleven first. You know that you're too high to be at 7-Eleven when you're standing for more than 30 seconds contemplating possible nutritional value of food that spins like this. It's a quarter pound. It's a cheeseburger big bite. So I'm already blown away by the fact that this is a hamburger in a cheeseburger in a hot dog form. And then it says that they're 2 for $3. That is a half a pound of glory for $3. A voice in my head goes, dude, don't even do it. Someday you want women to want to touch you. It's a bad call. And then another voice in my head is like, fuck that, dude. Put chili and cheese on both of them and let the mouth do the work. So about a half an hour later, I'm at my kid's school, and it's catching up with me. And I'm doing that little shuffle where you gotta kind of clench your butt, but you don't want to stand still. And this mom comes up and goes, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'll be alright. And she's like, it's very cute. Are you excited to see your kids or something? Like, what are you dancing for? And she's kind of cute, so I didn't want to tell her I was afraid I was going to drop a deuce. So I just kind of look at her like, I'm very excited to see my kids. And she finally walks away, and my kids get to me, and I'm like, let's fucking go. I go home about 20 minutes later, and what happened in my bathroom can basically only be classified as a hate crime against my clothes. Let me think. You guys, the other day I had a Saturday where I didn't have my kids, I didn't have to work, I didn't have anything to do or be responsible for, but since I'm fucking this old, I woke up at 7:30 anyways. So by about 8:15, I'm high as balls. I decide I'm gonna go get a donut. I go down to 7-Eleven, I get my donut, I'm coming back and I see these old ladies setting up a church yard sale sign for the neighborhood. Now I know what I'm gonna do with my day. I go and I acquire an adult massage wand. It's about this big, it's purple, it's glittery, it doesn't even look like a dong. Take it home, I throw some batteries in it, make sure it works, put a $4 price tag on it because everyone loves a bargain, and I go to the yard sale. I wait till no one's around, I slip it in with the kitchen utensils, and I wander away. I almost buy a slot track set, like slot cars. I came this close to buying an 8-track player. If you'd had 8 tracks, I'd have bought it. I was just about to leave because I wasn't high anymore. It was about an hour later, and I hear it, and I was like, oh. I know what that is. And I just wait. I wait, and the guy I'm talking to is looking at me like I'm a crackhead. He's like, what the fuck? And I hear this old lady go, what you got there? And I was like, yes. And I turn around and I see this little girl just picks it up and it's shaking, and she's like, it's like magic. So a lady comes over and she grabs it from her and goes, oh, if it was magic, it would be bigger. You guys, I'm an adult, and I decided I wanted to go to the doctor the other day. I want to lose more weight, so I want women to touch me.
Wild, like.
I don't like doctors, they make me nervous, so I got really high in the parking lot. I go inside, there's this really cute nurse, like, she's getting all my paperwork filled out, she's doing all the blood pressure stuff, like, I'm into her, and she knows I'm into her, because I'm drooling. I follow her into the back, and she starts interacting with me and asking me questions, and I've got like a half a chubby just knowing that this chick exists in my world. And the doctor comes in and goes, all right, let's get this over with. Goes to shush the nurse out, the nurse stands behind him and goes, full-blown hard-on. Doctor looks me dead in the eyes and goes, all right, drop your trousers, let's do this. I'm high, I've got a hard-on, and the doctor wants me to take my pants off. I'm an adult and I can do this. I drop my trousers, I close my eyes, and I go to a happy place. The doctor cups my sack, I run my fingers through his hair. I don't really know what to do, like I'm kind of freaked out, his eyes are really big, the nurse is like running into the wall like there's a glitch in the Matrix. And the doctor sees the tip and he gets it with his thumb and he goes, Simba. Thank you, I've been Bear Quattlebaum.
That was a nice set, man.
It's fun.
Oh, it's a really.
It's weird to watch yourself on. At least for me, I have a hard time watching myself on video.
Because
I don't know. I'm like, you look like an idiot.
You never sound like you do. You never look like you do, and you're never as funny as you can't capture the moment like you did in your head. It's just not possible.
Yeah, when it's on video, it's never as glorious as it is in my mind.
Right. So that's why I think that the generation that puts their cell phones between them and everything are just losing the moment. I mean,
oh, yeah.
You can't recreate whatever you're looking at is going to be better if you move that damn cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is me being old.
No, I agree. I concur.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your writing process? How do you stare at a blank piece of paper till a joke happens, or?
No, I do not write at all like that. Okay. What'll happen is I'll be driving around stoned doing something or hanging out with my buddies or something,
okay,
and I'll have an idea pop in my head. And if my mind sits and chews on that idea for more than like 10 minutes before it gets discarded,
okay,
I'll text it to myself.
Okay.
Like I'll just sit at a light. It might take me 2 stoplights or whatever, but I'll text myself the premise for the joke, and then I'll toss it aside and I'll come back to it later. So let's say 2-3 days later, I'm stoned again. I'll pull up the text to myself. I'll be like, all right, nope, that's still a pretty funny idea. I can play with that. I don't know what I was thinking with that. Yeah, that's still pretty good. Okay, let's try and play with that.
Right.
And then I'll take it to an open mic, and I'll just try and stretch the concept in any way it'll let me stretch it and see what I can work out of it.
Right. So, do you ever work from a book? I mean, does it ever get written down somewhere? Does it ever?
I have one list that has just I try and update it about every 2 weeks, and it's all the jokes I've written, because I'll forget some of them.
Right.
Like the set we just watched, there's 2 of those jokes I forgot.
And
like as soon as I heard myself tell it, I knew it, but I was like, oh, I completely forgot I wrote that. So I have like a master list of all these jokes I've written, and some of them have a description if they're kind of vague or I'm not sure if I would remember it later.
Okay.
And then somewhere like maybe about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like another one of those little switches clicked. It's like dink.
Gotcha.
And something in my mind's like, dude, you can dissect every one of those jokes and rebuild it with components from other jokes, like Legos or a club sandwich or something.
Right.
And that's why watching that is so painful, because like of those jokes that were on there, like 3 of them are completely different jokes now.
Okay.
Like it's the evolution of it's beautiful. I don't understand how someone can write a joke and then only tell it that way forever.
Right.
Like, I mean, I understand that people do it, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. Like, funny people are funny people. It doesn't matter. But me, personally, I would lose my mind doing it that way.
I'm not, I write a joke, and 90% of the time, by the time I hit the stage with a joke, I've got it written down somewhere, verbatim, how I'm going to do it.
Huh.
And when I do it, then I start working with it on stage. And then I come back and I correct, things change that I thought were going to be this. But most of the time, I hardly ever hit the stage with an idea that's not a joke. I guess it's just I was.
I'll never do a showcase like that. But that's what everyone told me open mics are for.
No, no,
open
I'm not saying
mics
it shouldn't be done. That's exactly what open mics are for. I'm just saying my whole
like
process
my approach
is so different.
Yeah. And there's like.
There's no wrong way to write. However,
whatever you get your results from.
This right here, most of the kids, I can't even see this, but most of the people that I know coming into business now, their notes are right there in that.
I'll text myself, and then the ones that finally make the grade, I drop into a Google Drop account. That way, if I ever lose my phone or something, I can still retrieve it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. All right. Do you have any I don't know. What's happening with you now? What are you doing? Do you have anything coming up?
Wednesday, I'm hosting the Future Legends show at the Improv.
That's going to be at the Improv at Northfield.
Yep.
And
that should be a really good show. If you want to go check that one out.
And by Wednesday, give the date because we.
Oh, sorry. Wednesday, November the 12th.
Yeah.
Let me look.
I was just gonna go with it.
My phone is gonna die. I believe it's the 12th. I'm 90% sure it's the 12th.
No, we're calendar on the 10th. So
Wednesday the 12th.
Yeah, you're right.
If you're available for that and you want to see it, call 303-307-1777. And that's the number to the Improv, and just tell them you want to see Bear Quattlebaum on the Future Legends show, and they'll give you up to 3 comp passes per call.
You have a Facebook page? I
do have a Facebook page. Just look up Corey, Corey Quattlebaum, Quattlebaum.
Wow, that's very, very cool. Very, very cool. Right on. I always love talking to comics. I mean, especially the comics that are starting out, because my audience are young comics. You know, there are comedians that want to start out, or there are people that haven't even gotten into the business. You got any advice for, some words of wisdom from you 2 years?
You know what? Don't give up. Like, if you get that laugh and you get that rush, like, you're gonna suck sometimes.
Right.
Everyone does it. Like, everyone has that night where they just eat so many dicks on stage. But you can't let that stop you, because here's the thing. When I first started, I had like this little flash in the pan moment where I got booked on a lot of small stuff or whatever.
Right, okay.
And I felt like I was invincible, and I got kind of complacent with my set. And then one night I got out on stage, and it's like that crowd just slapped me around for 5 minutes. And I needed that to happen to appreciate it again.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, when you suck the first couple times, don't get discouraged. Keep doing it.
Right on. Very, very cool. What would you say is the biggest difference that you found between what you thought stand-up was going to be and what you found stand-up to be? I know you have people come into the business.
Man, you know what? I'm amazed at the amount of friends I've made in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like an endless number or whatever, but I could probably, if I just sat down and thought about it, there's probably like 15 Denver comics that I didn't know existed before I started doing comedy,
right,
that I would consider really good friends of mine now.
Yeah, you'll meet some amazing people.
Yeah.
This business will take you places that you never knew you could get to.
Right.
And it will introduce you to people that you never knew you could meet.
It's amazing. There's some open mics I go to. I could care less about the actual open mic itself. Like, when I go to the Squire, I know I'm not going to kill the Squire.
Okay.
But I get to see all of my friends. It's almost like going to summer camp for the night. You know what I mean?
I always tell people, and you'll tell people too, and later on in your career, that the comedy show, man, sometimes the green room is the funniest place to be.
Yeah.
You know, if they're killing out there, you know, that's okay. But in the green room, some of the best stuff in the world happens backstage, and that's part of the reason for this show, is because
this is like a look backstage,
exactly.
basically.
A lot of my favorite moments, man, have been shared with comics backstage. A lot of my favorite stories are about comics backstage,
nice,
or have been to comics backstage.
Right.
You know, it's just one of those things, man. I mean, it's a camaraderie in this business that is very cool.
Yep.
Do you remember who the first person you told you wanted to do stand-up was, and what their reaction was?
I saw my buddy do it, and as soon as he got off stage, like, we hung out, we watched their other sets or whatever. That was the first time I ever met Jill Tassie, was that night too.
Okay.
She
Local
was
Denver comic.
she was also on that night. But I was like, I looked at him and I was like, I think I can do this. And he goes, I've been waiting for you to tell me that since high school.
That's a good reaction.
Yeah. So like, I basically, like, I did. I put some thought into it, and I took him out to lunch the next day. And I just hit him with every question I could possibly imagine. Like 2.5 hours at this little brat restaurant.
Right.
Like, and I was like, what about this? What about this?
Do you remember any of the questions?
It was like premises that I thought could make for jokes.
All right, we're talking jokes. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then, like, you know, what if I get booed? Like, if someone tries to attack me on stage, am I allowed to defend myself? Like, my mind was going
everywhere,
so crazy. Like, but I knew I had to try it.
Right.
But I knew it was something I was like, I have to put actual effort into this. I can't half-ass this.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I understand.
And I did. Like, anything I could like the absolute word, like, what if the power goes out? He goes, don't trip walking off stage. Like, he was really calm about it. He didn't make fun of me. He didn't judge me. But you could tell that some of the questions were just completely asinine. And he was so, like, gracious to just be like, yeah, okay.
So don't move till the lights come back on.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. Wow. That is very, very cool. All right. It has been, I knew it would be fun talking to you, man. Thank you. And it has been.
Thanks for having me.
God, thanks for doing this show. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
This has been, every time I say his last name, he's going to pronounce it for me. This has been Corey Quattlebaum. Did I get it right?
Quattlebaum.
Quattlebaum. There we go. See, I can do German.
You're good, man.
This has been now I can't do Corey Quattlebaum. You've been watching EUGE, an inside look at chasing a dream, and thank you so much for doing so. We'll see you next week. Thanks
Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Nice. That was fun.